Hey everyone, I'm Brian, and some people know me as Professor Shred. A friend of mine recently showed me this hero's journey chart, and he wanted to pick out each point in the chart and how it related to his life and his journey, and he said he was curious to hear mine as well, and it got me thinking. Because I think we all are the protagonists of our own story, and we do have this journey we're going through in life, figuring things out. And my story starts in Fort Myers, Florida. I was born and raised here with my family, and when I think back on my childhood, I remember playing lots of sports, video games, and skateboarding being a part of me and my brother's lives since we were little. I read lots of books and enjoyed watching things like Dragon Ball Z and Lord of the Rings. My mom's an artist and was around the house with us as we grew up, and my dad worked construction. Seeing my dad always working so hard to provide for us always motivated me to do the same, and my mom always showed me how to maintain an imagination and to turn every mistake into a masterpiece. All of my siblings had a huge influence on me growing up. My sister's ability to research, study, and overcome any challenge ahead of her. My older brother's love for skateboarding and drive to be the best at anything he wants to do. But I would say my relationship with my younger brother Danny was a little different. As young kids, we would spend hours playing with toys in our room and coming up with wild stories and characters, and I'd find myself thinking about them sometimes even when we weren't playing. I found myself drawing lots of pictures as a kid too, mostly tracing Dragon Ball Z characters, but in middle school, my friends showed me that you could think of something in your head and find a way to put it on paper. These were some of my first memories of making cartoons. I worked really hard in school, and I'd say my typical days I'd finish my homework right when I got home from school, sometimes even before, and then go skate with my friends and play video games at night. As I got a little older, I took my academics very seriously, and my studious habits forced me to make some hard decisions and put some things on the back burner. I chose my classes and skateboarding over joining the high school football team. I enrolled in the Cambridge program, which proved to be much harder than I even anticipated. And although it cut much of my free time, I always had my skateboard, I always had my sketchbook, and everything I was learning motivated me to start writing down the stories that were in my head from me and Danny's childhood. I was able to pass all my Cambridge exams at the end of high school, which made me really proud of myself, and it helped prepare me for the next stage of my life, college. If I thought high school involved lots of reading and studying, it was nothing compared to my time at Florida Gulf Coast University. I had already achieved my associate's degree from the program in high school, so I got right to work on my degree in English literature and education. I wanted to be a professor of writing one day. I didn't have much of a social life because of all the reading I was needing to do for school, and at this point I was living on my own and working a job as a manager of a burrito place around town with some of my friends. I still skated just about every day, even if it was just falling a bunch in between classes. My sketchbooks stayed full of doodles throughout my day, and I would draw pictures of my favorite characters on my grip tape too. And I'd finished some of a draft of a novel from my childhood stories, and it now had a name, Helm. I was seeing a girl whose plan was to attend her dream school in Pennsylvania, and despite how little there was for me there, and what all I would be leaving behind, we committed to the plan together. As the plan developed and I pushed my fears to the side, my time in college was coming to an end. I attended a weekend writers conference on Sanibel Island that changed my life. I met with young adult writers, poets, and tons more creative people whose passions were their careers. And as I sat alone in the beach cottage after the conferences each day, I was reworking Helm because I was learning how to properly tell stories and create worlds of my own. When the time came for us to move across the country, my friends were worried that I wouldn't skate anymore. I assured everyone that the next 2 years would be transformative. I felt like Bilbo as he left for the Misty Mountains. There would be no dragon waiting for me when I arrived, but this was certainly a quest that paved the way for the rest of my life. This is where I crossed the threshold from the normal world into the completely unknown. So with no jobs, a small savings, a car to share, and our essential items, we embarked on this journey that was going to last 2 years. We didn't know how it would work, but we knew that it had to if we wanted to reach our dreams. I was skating by myself just about every day between working and writing Helm and talking with Danny every single night while we played video games. I'd tell him about the spots that I found, tricks I was learning, art I was working on, and how the book was coming. There was so much I wanted to show everyone that I started a YouTube channel to start documenting it. I wanted to teach people how to be in a similar situation, how to enjoy the ride and be able to have fun by yourself, so I called the channel Professor Shred. And anytime I spoke to the camera, it felt really unnatural, so I would always just pretend I was talking to Danny. While my partner was spending her days at the special effects makeup school, I would get dropped off at the coffee shop early in the morning, and I'd write, draw, and edit for about 8 hours before packing up and walking down the road to work for the night. And on days off, I would skate and explore and film. As lonely as it was and as scary as it was, this was an adventure I never knew I needed. I'd build skate obstacles, paint grip tapes for me, Danny, and my friends back home, and it was so much fun. But a year into our life in Pittsburgh, everything changed. I was out exploring alone one day after work, and I fell bad on my skateboard and I tore my ACL. It stopped me from working and stopped me from skating, but I didn't let it break my spirit because frankly, that wasn't an option. So I put my time in bed to finish the first draft of Helm, and I focused my creative efforts on painting and even started an Etsy page. We survived the chaos and the epic conclusion of our life out of state, but the adventure in the unknown had only just begun. My partner and I split up shortly after returning to Florida once I was fully healed. I was getting back to work, getting back into skating, and now finding new footing as a single person in the world. At this point, the crew was back together again. I was now painting and setting up my work for sale around town, and I was very focused on my physical health. My injury taught me to change my diet and my exercise habits outside of skateboarding so that I could be stronger on the board. I was documenting less of my life on YouTube now, and now my sketchbooks were becoming daily journal, diary type entries because of how I would doodle every day to document the daily grind. Danny and I even turned our nightly phone calls into a podcast of our own. I'd say my death and rebirth portion of the journey began once I tore my ACL again. I was trying a crazy jump that I'd always wanted to make, and it ended up in me needing surgery to fix my knee. As much as I was motivated to not let it crush my spirits, being bedridden again was especially difficult because of all the new factors involved. I had more goals, more responsibilities, much more bills, and was still attempting to find the person I wanted to share my life with on this journey. It became so much to handle that it started breaking me. It seemed like no matter how hard I tried, all I felt was darkness sometimes. There was a breaking point I can remember being on the phone with Danny and explaining how lost I felt. I was failing to see what the right thing to do was in lots of situations that were being placed before me. I just wanted to be happy again. That night was my first time feeling a Holy Spirit inside of me, and the day I found God. Faith is specific to the individual, and we all have our own ways to stay focused and grounded, and for me, feeling His hand in mine was the shifting point that I needed to get my life back on track and to start getting rid of that darkness around me. As far as this hero's journey template, this is where my story is at now. I began overcoming a lot of my demons. I found the person I wanted to spend my life with, along with our little family we've built. I stayed on course with my health, and now my legs are now more equipped than ever for skateboarding. City of Palms podcast has been going 2 years strong. Professor Shred's now an official business where I've been able to monetize not only through YouTube and my websites, but also commissions from people all over the world and events around town. I've had an amazing network of friends and creatives, and I'm on a path towards publishing my debut book in November, Professor Shred's Daily Grind, Volume 1. And the publication of my young adult fiction novel, Helm, is the next on the list. If I've learned anything from this journey so far, it's that nothing is a coincidence. I'm a believer that God places these dreams in our hearts, and through His Holy Spirit, anything is possible. We can achieve an ACE diploma through the Cambridge program if you put the work in. You can get through college with a perfect grade point average while planning a life across the country if you stay positive. You can make a living as an artist if you're dedicated enough. You can overcome a couple of torn knees and still skate strong if you take care of your body. You can run a successful podcast with your brother if you stay persistent. You can find love if you stop looking so hard. You can be surrounded in abundance as long as you feel abundant. I'm still on my way towards my dreams, just like I always have been. The difference now is that I understand I'm not prepared to fulfill these dreams yet. It's going to take lots more hard work, lots of difficult decisions, countless shortcomings, problems, and hurdles along the rest of the journey, but these are the ways God shows us the areas we still need to improve if we ever want to fulfill the dreams He's put into our hearts. But thanks for listening. Let me know if there's anything in my story that you can relate to. You can reach out to me on any social media platform, and be on the lookout for my upcoming book, Daily Grind, Volume 1. I'm really excited to tell some of this story through my art and writing. I may not have finished my degree, but it looks like that dream of being a professor is coming to fruition after all. God willing. Have an awesome day, everyone, and make sure to enjoy the ride.